but I couldn't fit it in the freezer, so I just let it sit on the counter.
So welcome to the show, everybody.
We're starting?
Oh shit! Yep, we are on. So we're gonna do more of a interview style, just so we can get all y'all in the thing. Everybody know what I look like. So we can introduce ourselves. That'll be perfect. Starting from
the baby of the crew.
Right.
I'm Keaton Higgins, 19 years old, currently a student at Ball State University.
He's a Cancer.
Yep.
Single.
Look at that.
All right, your turn.
Oh.
That's horrible.
No, can't do that. What am I doing?
I snorted, sorry.
I'm Darla King.
That's Dollar King over there.
Dollar Monique for the Negroes in the
I'm
back.
55 years old, looking good.
Looking damn good.
Damn good.
With a big old booty.
Booty.
Donkin' donk.
Let's get to it. Who are you?
Oh, it's my turn. Hi. How you guys doing? I'm Janelle. I'm 49.
All right, so I see you guys are kind of like on some like a social site. So what's dating like at each stage in all your lives?
Oh, shit, I ain't dating. Go, Janelle.
Bumble. Not for real.
She's on Bumble right now.
Oh, you're on the dating site?
I don't date anybody on here. I just look at the pictures. That's all.
You just like looking at the
I just like looking at the pictures. That's all.
Telling them.
I don't date. I'm single.
I'm
I haven't
single.
found anyone yet.
You can't say that you don't date though.
Well,
You gotta say,
I'm not. I don't.
You haven't
I
found the
put
right
myself
one.
in a position to date
Why
tell
not?
them you open for
Why?
dating.
because we are in the middle of a pandemic.
We in a panoramic.
Don't try to blame it on the
It
pandemic.
ain't even been a year in a pandemic.
Here's one for you.
No.
No.
Dating for me is
So,
either she like you off the rip.
so what are your criteria at this stage in life for us?
He said,
for
forget
a
my
significant
question.
other?
No, forget you.
Forget
What's your
my
criteria? What are you
information.
looking for?
Janelle, what are you looking for?
No, he asked you. He's looking at you. You're first.
My criteria is a person who can make me laugh.
Here, read from the cue cards. Not
I don't know.
Consistency. A person that can make you
It is
laugh.
my turn.
Oh, sorry.
Go
Person
ahead,
who can make you
describe
laugh.
them.
A faithful person.
Describe my
Someone who likes to
stepdaddy.
communicate.
Consistency.
Consistency. Follow through. Good looking.
Knows how to agree to disagree. Sorry.
And has a plan, has a future, has something that he wants to do. That they're willing to be a part of something.
Now with me
They know
though,
how to stand up in it. Not for real. Sorry.
with me though.
Sorry.
How about you?
Gotta have that booty. Nah, I'm playing.
You ain't
You-
Lies you
nah,
tell.
you gotta like me for me. I don't have to change. If I'm goofy, you gotta
Be
like
goofy
that.
with you.
Basically,
Acceptance.
like me
Yeah,
for me.
acceptance.
Yeah, there you go.
Acceptance.
You know, like me for me. Don't gotta do too much. Be nice looking.
So in all you guys' different situations, how do you guys feel about the dating scene nowadays? Starting with you, sir. How do you feel about it?
It's all for media, for the social. People want to look like they in love or look like they is because of what's going on, but a lot of times people don't really be happy with the stuff they in. Basically, people want to be in a relationship just to be on
say
media
that.
with relationship, not to actually
Just
get
to
to
show
know.
off?
Yeah, like,
to
oh,
stay
I gotta,
there.
we taking cute pictures, we matching pajamas for Christmas, or we doing little stuff for Christmas, or just matching. That's all it is. Don't nobody really be liking somebody, taking time to like somebody.
Good job.
How about you guys' point of view?
I like my hair.
How about you, Janelle? How's the climate out there? How do you feel about it?
I just spoke on this today. Like, they just look. They don't say anything. They just look. So I don't know what that's about.
Do y'all feel like communication is weird nowadays with social
Yes.
media?
I think they've gotten
Definitely.
away from
Yes.
chivalry.
Yes.
You know,
Definitely.
and somewhere, maybe that's why it's taken me so long to find someone. I want someone who still woos, flowers, dates, be creative.
Open the door for you.
You know, and that if you're already ready to show a woman something new, Someone shouldn't come in, and there should be phone calls and communication. Don't text me. You know, I just believe that loving someone is knowing all of them, and the transition from text, there's a lot of misinterpretation. You could be texting one thing, and they could be receiving it another way, you know. And I want a relationship. I want someone who cares about the things that I care about. You know, I do. I still, and I know that it's still possible. I want to be courted.
And what I've noticed is that
You want to be what?
courted,
What that mean? A wedding?
date,
You want to be
Like,
courted?
it's
date.
like-
Take me. I'm gonna
courted.
call you and say, hey, do you want to
You
go
wanna
out
build it up,
tonight?
like,
Yes.
yeah, like-
Take me out on a
so
date.
that you want it.
Yeah.
And someone's
I ain't
interested
never
in
heard
knowing,
that.
knowing me.
We call that applying pressure.
And then
Applying
I think
pressure.
that's the thing too. Like the guys don't do that anymore, like how they
It
used
seems
to.
like
That's
dudes
because-
are a lot more awkward than they used to.
Yeah, they really
Female-
are. They
female
really
don't
are.
say
They don't.
anything.
They don't say anything.
'Cause it's
They don't
different.
ask you out
But on the
anymore.
same hand, it seems like women are more aggressive nowadays.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of like we kind of had to.
It's like a flip in the.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
And I guess
kinda
I'm
had
not there
to.
yet because I'm not going to chase a man.
No.
But
And,
you
that,
be-
and I think that's
you be
what it
saying
is
no
too.
quick though.
Hey,
Man got a little smaller left nostril than denied. You ugly.
That nostril is too small.
that's not true. I'm open, but
Are you missing the thread of your eyebrow, young man? Cut him off.
we're done. You got the wrong name.
Cut him off.
So what's something you guys might think is positive about the social media scene, our dating life scene?
There's nothing
and
positive
then
about-
negative about it.
There's
What's
nothing
something
positive.
that might be positive?
It's-
Well, some people might say.
I will say what's positive about the social media is that because when you have a whole lot of friends, it's easier to talk to them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, as opposed to actually picking up the phone. Like, I got 200 freaking friends. I'm not about to
But
pick up
also,
the phone
does
and call
that kind
200
of
people.
make us not really want to come in contact with each other as much as we used to? Because it seemed like, I know when I was younger, people had to get together.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I see them on Facebook. It's fine. We don't have to really do
I think
much.
the only benefit of it if it's long distance.
Yeah.
You know, like we keep
That's
up
a
with
good
each
one.
other via
Yes,
long distance.
yes.
You know what's going on. But
Right.
I think people that are a center of your life, because we were talking about dating, dating that should not be something that is prolonged on social media. You know, that's why I'm saying I need someone who talks to me, and I think that's what we're missing. Guys don't know how to
What's going
talk
on
because
over there?
we're so used to. You know, because people say a lot of stuff behind screens. You know, they got a lot of confidence.
You just show your best.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I want to
Best,
see
yeah.
someone's confidence. I want them to wear their confidence. So when you go to a table, even if there's a little awkward silence, but they have a conversation. You know, I
So
don't
is
want
that
some.
different nowadays? Do people don't know how to have conversation?
No, because all people do is text.
Nope. Hey, nope. Hey,
Text
nope.
or talk to you through Facebook.
What I like about
Yeah.
social media though, it brings them all. Brings all the chicas.
So I want to ask you all from your point of view, and then ask his point of view after this. How about raising children in this social media age? How do you feel about that?
I got a
How
child.
was that?
I have a child.
What? You better not.
On the way.
Ooh, let's see. That's how do I answer that? Mine is all in social media.
I think, oh Lord, let's
She's-
see. Oh,
yeah.
I just think, well, now
It's
our kids are
like,
young adults, so
yeah.
there's a difference. But I can truly say, even when Keaton was coming up, that I didn't let him get social media right
No,
away.
no.
Only because I didn't want someone to instruct his ideals.
I ain't
You know,
getting
by
to
what
high
you
school.
see in social media that I wanted him to have communication skills, and he does. I just think even with social media now, they're not even complete sentences. I have no idea what people are saying on. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
social.
Nobody cares
social-
about spelling anymore.
no,
But
you know,
social-
and they don't
yeah.
care.
Okay, without proofreading.
You know, it's like, and it's so easy. Why does what have to be WHT? Just throw the A in there. Just throw the A in there.
So is that a turn off? Let's say if somebody's courting you and they're not, you know,
Oh, my biggest pet peeve on that is WYD.
what you doing?
Ah,
You don't like
that is
that?
my biggest pet Do not WYD me.
You don't NT it?
No.
Nothing?
No.
And I don't know what none of that means.
No.
What you doing?
Oh, what's
So you want somebody to spell
don't
out
I
what
don't
you
want
doing?
anyone
WYD
to
me.
text me
Yeah,
at all.
don't-
You want to be a man in your 50s, pick up the phone.
So y'all down with the FaceTime?
Yeah, I am.
I'm
I'm
down if I
definitely
got
down.
rollers in my hair.
I'm down with it, but,
So, Mama, you
but
get-
I will say you need to, because of that, because my hair might be all over my head.
Mama, but
so
sometimes you don't even
might
answer
need
your
to call
phone.
me and ask me, can you FaceTime me?
Keen, you're not supposed to throw all my stuff under the bus.
I'm saying you
I
don't
mean,
be
when he's
answering the
acting like
phone.
he's been courting you, like sometimes you don't answer my call.
Nigga, we ain't dating.
You don't answer my call.
Now I'll go back to the social media with the young adults or whatever. It could be like you really have to be careful on there, because like I tell my daughter, what she knows, that I tell Cheyenne, like, hey, be careful what you post on there, because you never know who you might become one day. You don't know who's watching you, because there's people, those are their jobs, is to go out there on social media to see what the hell your ass
And then
is
they
doing.
can come to you and act
Yeah.
like they know you and
Right.
tell you information.
And not only that, you don't know who the hell you might be one day.
Yeah.
You might be the first lady one day. You don't know
Yeah,
that.
right.
And then you all out here shaking your ass and your ass all out, your butt cheeks, all that shit. Like,
a
come
lot.
on, that's a lot.
So now, Keaton, I want
Don't
to ask
sorry.
you.
Don't
I want to ask
have
you.
your butt cheeks out.
How do you
Mama,
feel?
I'm a dude. Like, that don't apply to me at all.
Oh,
How do you feel about your parents on social media?
They be
I'm
watching.
very respectful on social media,
How do
so
you feel
I
about
said,
it?
oh.
They be watching. They be watching. Nah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, she was always looking
So
at
do
me.
you tell your mom about your secret accounts?
No. No. She don't got my
Secret
Snapchat.
face account,
She ain't got my
fake
Snapchat,
accounts?
Twitter, my little other Instagram. But it's not like I be wilding, but it's just some stuff I don't want my mom to know everything. I could be like, ooh, this day kind of sucked, man. I don't care. She'll be like, oh my God, what's wrong? Like, I don't want her to worry. So it's not like I just don't want you knowing stuff, but some stuff you don't have to worry about.
And truly, I trust him, because I don't care about his Twitter account. I don't care about his Snapchat account. I trust him enough. Just don't do anything.
But I be out here, add
See,
me
that
on
kind of
all
stuff
that
right
dope.
there.
Add me on all that.
Right there. That's not necessary.
All the freaks. Yeah, yeah.
That stuff right there is not
At
necessary.
11 o'clock on the dot.
that's why she's not on his social media.
I
BET
am on
Uncut.
social media.
Not all of it.
Well, it's because I don't choose to, because I don't want no Twitter and I don't want no Snapchat.
Only thing she do,
That's going behind-
is send heart eyes. That's it. I be thinking I'm jumping. It's my mama. 5 heart eyes.
That's
so,
right.
So handsome, son. I be like, oh,
You're extraordinary,
I
huh?
don't want to hear from you. Oh, but thank you.
He said, I don't want to hear from you. Oh, that's probably what
Do
Cheyenne
you guys
says
have
too.
any hope for love and marriage?
I always do.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Or
I
how do-
want
how do
it.
all
I
of
want
you-
it. I don't want to be single for the rest of my life.
But how
Not
do
at
y'all
all.
feel about marriage in general? Like, is marriage a complete goal, or is that just something that could happen, or can you have a relationship without marriage? Or
Is
I
there a
don't want to be
limit?
somebody's girlfriend for the rest of my life. No.
Would y'all get married at any age?
I want to get married. No.
I'm saying, like, is there a limit? Like, nah, I don't want to get married no more.
I mean, it is
74 is done.
Yeah.
right.
Don't want it.
I can't say. I can't answer that. I will hope that I'm not that old when my day comes to be married. But hey, if that's what God has for me. That's what God has for me. That's how I can. That's the only way I can answer that one.
How about you, sir? How do you feel about marriage?
Yeah. How do you feel about
What
marriage?
We skipped over you, though.
I know we're coming back.
What you gonna do?
You are not the coordinator.
Marriage. I would like to get married. That's cool.
Do
That's
you,
that's dope.
Kiki? You want to get married?
It's just you don't know nowadays. But I would want to get married.
Do you have hope in it?
Hope getting married.
Like, do you have faith that you can find someone that you know, find compatible to?
I don't know, not right now. Maybe soon. Probably when I get myself together. I don't think I'm a husband. So right now I'm not a husband. So I won't want nobody to marry me.
You husband, my friend.
And what do you feel like being a husband is?
Having my stuff together, like I could provide, or I just got my stuff together. Like I'm good by myself, but I'm also good enough to have somebody with me, and we still good. So it's not even like money wise, but like mentally, physically. Like I know what I'm doing. I'm a man, a grown man. I'm still a young man.
Bravo.
So how do you feel about that, Mom?
That's crazy. You raised me like this, almost. It's a little
Good job.
bit. It's
Good
some
job.
of you, some of him,
I'll
Good
take
job.
it.
some of you and him
I'll take it.
made a man, made me.
What
With
was my
long
question
hair.
again, son?
What is your hope for marriage?
No, I don't think
No.
that was my
No,
question.
she
How do
asked-
you
he-
feel
I mean,
about
he asked,
his
yeah.
perception.
I think he has a good outlook for his age. You know, I mean, he's got a lot of growing to do, a lot of mistakes to do, a lot of things to encounter, and maybe even a few heartbreaks to make you realize what you want and what you don't want, because nothing is easy. So I think for his age, he's pretty level-headed.
So how about you? How do you look at marriage at your stage in your life?
I have no problem with you getting married.
Oh,
No.
well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm open to marriage.
He ain't gonna be my stepdaddy, but
Oh boy.
never know. Never know.
What is, other than the paperwork, what are the differences between a relationship and a marriage? What are the differences, if you can pinpoint?
You're more seasoned. Go ahead.
I don't think there is a difference. I think
what I
if
was
you don't
saying.
have the respect level, whether you're
Yeah.
a boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not going to have it if you're married. You have to establish whatever it is that you want in a friendship, and that will transfer over to marriage. A paper just allows it to say this is
legal.
what we have legally decided to commit to each other. But prior to marriage, your heart should already be committed. So if you need a paper to define you, then that's not a marriage, because marriage is without paper. So
And however you are before you married is how you gonna be when you married.
you know.
So marriage doesn't change anything just because you married now, and whatever BS you was going through before you got married is still gonna be there. That's not gonna change that because you guys have the same last name. It's not
I think
gonna
you
change.
have to be open. When you say you want to get married, you have to make sure that you have first truly loved yourself,
Yeah.
because you cannot give to anyone completely, fully, or even commit if you have no desire of who you are. Because I'm gonna be the first one to say, if you are waiting for me to make you happy,
Ooh.
then you'll never be
You ain't
happy.
gonna never
you have
be
to
happy.
be happy with yourself.
Yes.
And so, yeah, boy, through that transition of what love is, it's really truly first loving yourself. Because if you love yourself, that love will transfer over to someone else.
Yep,
And that will be an
definitely.
open door for that love that you want to come in.
So you,
So-
But they have to also be on that same accord
Correct.
too.
Because you're in a track with you, who you are.
So do you all think that these?
Damn, I must be crazy then.
You well,
Damn.
you,
So do you all think that these wants and goals in relationships and marriage? Do you think that it's probable with the mindset of most people nowadays, and within your, actual experience? Like when you run across people, do you feel they have the same goals or
Yeah.
the same morals?
Not everybody.
I think anything's obtainable if you are truly honest with yourself. If you attract what you are. I've met several men that I've been attracted to, and our conversation is good and stuff like that. That's what you want. When you decide to go to the next level, that has to be a mutual thing. You draw to you what you are, and you cannot allow yourself to fantasize about something and not fully put the footsteps down. You see, it's because you can't want something and you are not willing to work for it either.
You can't
You know.
want a plane and not know how to fly.
And not know
Yeah.
how to fly.
You know,
For real.
Right.
For real.
it's-
Good job, darling.
Thank you.
Good
You
job.
good, man. You go
Good
get you a
job. That
man.
was good.
A man go get you.
So, to kind of move on, but still, how do you all feel about the generations coming up? How do you feel about the future? What's your outlook? How do you feel?
I can only feel what's the product that I put into the world. I know this is a good seed, and I know that he's going to flourish and he's going to be. So I'm hoping that he transfers and touches someone else, because these children, young people raised today, they have an entitlement, and they're not
Oh,
willing to
man.
work. They're not really willing, and that's because so many things have been taken out of school that they don't have to work for. You know, back in my days, we had economics, we had banking, we had all these things that we needed to learn. Now everything is a quick fix, fast, and how do we get to the end? And if you live your life and you have no depth, then you miss the value of
Miss
your
the
journey
value.
itself.
Yep.
So I planted that in him, and I hope that he transfers that to someone else. But right now, these young people are all on a fast track. How can I get it quick? Quick money, quick this, and you lose the lessons that you're supposed to learn in life. So I'm hoping for a
And-
better future.
And it's like they don't appreciate the value of $1. So it's like you have to instill that in them as well, which is what I've done with Cheyenne. Like, hey, you got to get out there and you got to work for that. It's not going to just be handed to you. And you got to put in blood, sweat, and tears sometimes.
And I think too, it's that
And these kids, these kids are, a lot of them are spoiled. And that, what goes back to what Darla says, it's like they're spoiled, so they think a lot of things are supposed to be handed to them. No, we didn't have shit handed to us. We
Well,
had to
not
work for
saying,
us.
not like putting, because you all have your own children, but we're talking about, other people we see. Do you see something in you all's generation of how they raise their children that kind of spawned this?
Mothers aren't mothers anymore. Mothers are friends now.
Yeah.
And we were mothers, and that's what we have to go back to, is mothers being mothers and not mothers being friends. And that's what, and then the mothers have always been young. Like my great grandmother had her first kid at 14 years old. But mothers, she was a mother. And mothers aren't mothers anymore. They're friends, and they twerking and in the clubs with their kids and stuff. And like, no, you can't do that. How are you going to be a parent? But then you out here twerking in a damn club with your kid, but then you want to come home and tell, oh, you can't do this and you can't do what? Y'all seen you doing it. So it's like, no, that's what I mean when I say mothers aren't.
You praise the same.
Right.
Yeah. Mothers aren't mothers anymore. Mothers are friends. Mothers are girlfriends. Mothers is homegirls. Like, no, you can't do that.
Can you all see any differences between the generations that raised you all?
Oh,
and
definitely.
You all raising the generations, and what are maybe some similarities, differences, or some things that maybe you all did better, or maybe you did?
I just think right now there's nobody accountable in
Yeah,
this age.
that.
And two, everything is a quick fix of aggressiveness. It's like if you don't, kids are not taught accountability. So if they get rejected or something, instead of learning from that rejection, it's a quick fix to be like, I'm gonna hurt somebody, and so the people that are raised right now were never taught to learn from their lessons and be accountable. Like people crack a joke about there being a commitment award. At ceremonies, if you participated, you get an award, but that doesn't develop people.
No.
There should still be the person that worked the hardest,
Right.
the person who achieved. And if you came in last and you didn't get a trophy, what are you going to do different to transform that to be better? But if we get all a participant, then everyone's the same. Well, what happens to the kid who tried harder
Right.
than someone else?
Right.
And I think now,
Put in
if
the most
you get
effort.
the thing is, if kids get rejected, it's either I'm killing everybody, or everybody has that revenge mentality right now. And it makes it sad. Or we have so many kids committing suicide because they don't like rejection.
They don't feel accepted. They're
Yeah.
not feeling accepted. Yeah.
And
Rejection is
And
part of
then,
life.
and
yeah,
yeah,
and it
then-
should be that's a whole part of growing. You should fail along the way.
That's
You
how you.
guys
That's
think-
how you learn.
Yeah.
Do you guys think maybe the fears from the other generation caused a coddling of the next generation that in turn made the younger generation very afraid of anything that's not in their control?
No, there's a generational gap where we lost our children because the society, children start raising children. When you have young girls, and that was a whole period of young girls having children at 16, and they have not learned, they have not been loved, they have not been taught, they haven't developed who they are. So you're taking a person who's not developed, trying to develop
someone.
So right there, it's just this generational gap where children were raising children. And we're almost at that level where we can transcend out of it, because even you and your wife are going to be that new generation where you're a couple and you have something to give your child. But there was a whole period in history where children were raising children. And that was between the 80s and 90s, where they're just having babies and no one's, we just got kids. Shoot, grandmas are 34 years old.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, you cannot love someone or teach someone if you have not been
If
loved
you
or you have not been taught.
Yes.
And that's just in anything. If you have never been taught to tie your shoe, it just doesn't come to you. Everything has to be taught, learned, and put in
And we're
process.
we're not doing that anymore.
And
I do have to say, like, just from even my point of view, maybe not even your generation, but a lot of older generations it didn't seem important to actually pass on information. A lot of older generations kind of was like, okay, I got it, now you go figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
it was a lot of
There's a lot of things
and
that I learned.
feel like
on
my
my own.
generation felt like it was a lot of just, okay, they figured it out, now it's our turn to figure it out, other than like, hey, I'm passing this down to you. I want your life to be actually.
Yeah, and it's like transferring the torch.
Exactly.
How do I take what I've learned? Because true loving a child or a parent, or how the transition is for me to help him not to make mistakes, but not to make the same ones I
Same.
made.
Right.
He's still going to
Yes.
make his, because his growth, his journey is going to be different than mine. But if I see him patterning some things that I did, how do I instruct him not to do that?
Help the road be less bumpy.
There you go.
Right.
There you
So-
go.
I feel like a lot of men, older men, black men, are like, no, you
You
need to
need
figure
to
it out
fall
because
how I
I figured it out. Whereas the black mother is like, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna tell you. You know.
But see,
black
that's
men
where
are
it goes.
cut and dry. Like,
Yeah, but that's where it
sorry,
goes
you know.
back to black men are not loved. So they cannot transition loved. If
Very
you
true.
come from a father that hugs you and kiss you and you guys are you're going to
true.
You're
transfer
gonna
that love.
yes,
But so
yes.
many men of a certain generation and black men were not taught to love. They were taught men don't cry.
The men- I was
men
just gonna
don't do
say that,
this, you're
men
gonna be
don't
strong.
cry.
So then we have all of these men in the world that have these held in emotions,
Emotions,
and tough, and they don't even know why. So now it's like, oh, now it's time for me to raise you. Well, nigga, I had to do with
right,
it,
so
you
you
do
do
with it. And they really believe that that is a teaching tool.
No,
But again,
it's
I don't
not.
care. We go back to elementary school. I cannot teach you something that I never learned.
Right.
And most of the black men were never learned to be loved, like just hugged, kissed. You know, there's nothing wrong with a father hugging his son, but black men were just taught to get
Be
out
strong.
there, be strong, don't cry.
Don't cry.
You know, you fall
You
on a
weak.
bike. You know, yeah.
Weak if you cry.
And
Also, with that being said, I feel like the aspect of I can't teach you something that has not been taught to me, it can also have that reverse effect where you're like, since I wasn't given this, I want to give it to you. I want to learn within myself. This is how you love. This is how you teach. This is how you like grow someone to be, you know, more affectionate than your parent was to you. So I feel like there's two sides. to
And there
it
is,
sometimes.
it's just that in
It's
that
true.
process, even if a man is taught, like I was saying before, not love, but in the process, they have to also be taught self-worth. So if that additive, even in the product of teaching him not to love, but if you taught him self-worth, he's going to seek how to be better because he loves himself.
himself.
You know, it's that self-worth, and that's why I say it comes from a balance of two parents. You know, I'm not going to say that a child comes out better if it has two parents, because my children were raised by a single mother. But my thing is, you still have to have those avenues to say, I can't give him everything. So how do I find a source to give him something? And so if you teach them the basic things as a mother about loving and caring and learning,
Yeah.
then that means that is exactly what you're saying. If I've taught him that, then he's going to seek knowledge. You know, if you give him that love and say, hey, I don't know everything, but with wisdom in these things, then they're going to seek knowledge. But if you shut them down and say, this is, do it my way, no other way, then they don't want to learn because they've already been shut down, that there is no other way.
Shut them down.
You know?
Shut them out.
Parents is like, there's darkness in the world. They're like, well,
Yeah.
I see like, you know.
I kind of wanted to revisit.
Good job.
I want to revisit. Well, you said raised by a single mother, and I'm wondering when it says single mother, I'm thinking like, well, my dad was there, so is it single mother on the fact that you were single, or is it single mother? What's this? You know.
For me, I would say for me, I was strictly a single mother. Her dad, Cheyenne's dad, was not there at all. I did everything by myself, on my own, no help, no nothing. So for me, that's what my single mother means. That, nothing.
Mine just means a household. Because you can have a father on the outside, but
True.
you learn most of your stuff in-house.
In the house.
You know, so
Very much
your
so.
dad could have been there, but there's some things on a daily basis that you have to learn.
So single parent household.
A single person
parent
household, you know, because that's what grows you, you know. And I just believe that if you're in a single parent, is a single household, and I'm giving you your nurturement, your food,
You're doing everything.
that you go out in the world to deal with. You know, there might be an outside, but there's a weekend love, a weekend this, I'm going to my dad's house. So, but that's not giving
That's
you
not
a
enough.
foundation,
Yeah.
you know, because
Right.
whatever foundation I'm giving, you're taking it to your dad, and having your weekend and but you're still
But
coming
coming
back
back
to
home to me.
what it is that I raised you with, what I put into you, to see that,
Right.
because I believe in anything, a child is who they are by 5 years
About
old.
5.
Because they've developed everything they can develop. So that's why it's very important to interact, talk to your child when they're young, because that's what you see at 5 years old is the product you're going to get when they're 18, 20, and 30 years old.
All right, so this next one I want to let Keaton answer first, just to get it started. When I say the words ancestral pain, what do you think? How do you feel?
Just what ancestral pain. I guess just like what our whole bloodline feels. Like it's like a pain that everybody feels just because what happened to our ancestors. Like it like develops how we talk or how we deal with stuff. So just because of that pain, it's like how we handle stuff.
And I also wanted to talk to you two about it because it also feels like there's a gap of education in just, you know, I mean, not saying it's the foundation of the gap starts with you all, but it seems like even you all's generation still didn't even get a lot of knowledge of our ancestry, our full being people of color. You know, so what is your understanding of what stories were you told about, you know, even ancestors, even slavery, even before slavery, even your heritage? What do you know about yourself?
Well, my great-grandmother that I lived with in Blight, California, she was a slave. So there was this cotton field in Blight when I lived with her when we first moved to California from Cleveland. There was this big cotton field in the back of her house, and it had the trucks, of course, by then that would come and pick up the cotton. But I loved to play in that field because it was just rows and rows and rows of white cotton. I would get ate up by the ants, all of that, because there was ants out there. But I loved playing in that because it was just pretty to me. And my great-grandmother, she would get so upset, and she would just yell at me, "Trinket, you come out that yard, you come out of that field, you get out of that field." And I never understood. And finally one day, because at that time I think I was probably like 4, and I used to say, "We're going to the PRK," because I couldn't spell park. So at one time I got a little bit older and I asked my mom, I said, "Mommy, why did grandmommy always fuss at me about going into the cotton field?" She said, "Well, baby, that's something you'll never understand." And I was like, "Well, explain it." She said, "Well, your grandmama was a slave, and that's some of the things that she had to do was pick cotton and, you know, all that stuff in the field." So she said, to see you out there as a little black girl, little nappy-headed black girl,
Didn't make her feel.
no, it didn't make her feel good at all. And she would, when I would come back to the house, she would just, her face would just be like so weird. And I remember the face. It would just, she would be looking at me like, "You just do not understand." And I didn't, because I was a baby.
So do you all think a lot of our history and things weren't passed through because there was so much pain in it?
It was a lot of pain in it, and it was one of those things kind of like, well, you don't talk about it because of the pain. Like my grandmother, which was her daughter, she knew, but I never knew any of this stuff from my grandmother.
And that's what it feels like. A lot of people are in that position where everybody knew, but everybody
Nobody
was
talks
hush-hush about it.
And it's,
you know?
like that, kind of like in the Black Homes period, like, hey, what you doing there, you know, you don't talk about it. Everything is hush-hush.
Like even with therapy, like standardly, black people don't prescribe to therapy, and that's come from not sharing your pain. Black people are taught to hold their
it
pain
in,
because
cover
shows
it up,
weakness.
sweep it under the rug
Sometimes
because you're weak.
If you express you're in pain,
You're
you're
weak.
weak.
Yep.
Even though people can naturally see black people going through pain, but as long as you don't show it, it doesn't have that.
You're
same-
all right. You're okay.
So how about you, Mom? Any kind of information that you found was
think-
passed?
I can't even think of not pinpoint anything that my grandparents said or anything, but I'm just looking at the history of who we are as black people. And everything you guys describe is true, but we are that way because of being slaves. We weren't allowed to have emotions.
Yeah.
So that is what you're taught is passed on.
Yeah.
So when you're a young black woman and your husband is being sold in front of you and you can't do anything,
They're kids too.
and kids and everything, that's an emotion you can't share because the white master's going to tell you to shut up and go back to work, or the same thing's going to happen to you that just happened to your husband. So we are a generational curse of things continually to be held in. So now we're in this age of 2020 and we want a voice and we still can't be heard because black people have no value.
Yep.
You know, we can say Black Lives Matter till we're blue in our face, but they have to matter to us first. You know, and we have to deal with the issue of all this hurt and how we're raised. So when we talk about black men don't speak or black men are not emotional, this is 400 years of a habit.
Yeah.
Because when and that is stripped our men of their manhood, that they pass that down generation after generation. I can't.
Men were used as battle.
Yeah.
Not only that. Not only that.
Just other, a whole lot. Just even if we go into what you're going to go to, but we don't need to do that.
No.
But what I'm saying, when you're a man, a strong black man, and your manhood is violated to a point where you can't speak up.
Right.
Just like when I think back, and you still need to do something with it, the Keaton story where he talked about where the wife was raped and the husband watched, and you can't say anything. That numbs a whole generation of men don't speak up.
So also with that being said, do black women have an obligation to black men to this? But also black women have all their own, you know, pains and struggles they went through either individually within that same amount of time. But how do we as black men and black women come together and heal those things within each other? Do we have those? Do we know how to do those things?
Yeah, it starts from right now. It starts with you. It starts with you and Malika, because that's what a foundation is about. We as a black people have lost our place, where we as black women, we are being strong. We can carry anything on our back. We can conquer anything. Because when our man was sold, we went and we made ham hocks taste good.
Everything.
Anything they scrapped, we made it happen. We lost our place because we lost our protector. So now it's up to this generation now to have good marriages and strong things, because you guys are just the seed of the beginning of change. Because if you guys stay together and you're a strong marriage and you treat her as queen, you treat him as king, what is that your children are going to see? They're going to see a new generation. They're no longer going to be paralyzed or with a generational curse thinking that all black men are slaves and they have no worth. You guys are the changing of that generation. So when your son and daughter see that you guys are a powerful couple and that you're a strong, majestic black man that loves, because a son learns to love women by how his father treats his mother. So if you looked at nothing in your whole life from slavery, of your father being beat, your mother being tormented, those are generations that are still right now of broken homes. So
and
now,
that's vice versa with women as well.
Yeah.
If your daughter sees you getting beat all the time,
and what I'm saying is that
she's
we
gonna
now
allow
are
the same thing.
And also when daughters see how you talk to each other,
Yeah.
how a man can talk crazy, or a woman can talk crazy to her, you know.
and
And
going
your
back
daughter,
to your,
and your daughter sees her father being abusive to her mother, she's gonna think that's what she's supposed to have, because they say your dad is your first love.
So what type of disconnects do you all feel like, even in just relationship you may have had when you were younger with men? Do you ever look back and see like maybe that disconnect may have came from something generational or
I know mine
ancestral
have.
or something like
I guess-
that?
I know mine.
I guess for me,
I've seen it.
you just can't live in the past all the time.
No, you can't live there.
You know, and my thing is,
And
we
you
got
can't
to
make
plant new
excuses.
seeds
No, I wasn't.
to
it
get.
wasn't-
No, I
it
know
wasn't
that.
in
I'm
that
just saying
sense.
in general,
Yeah.
because we all have that pain, we all have that hurt, and I guess I'm looking at your initial question that says, how do we make a change? And the way we make a change is planting new seeds where we get new harvests.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking. I'm just saying, in point of self-reflection.
I get
you
what
know,
you're
sometimes
saying.
you can
Yeah.
look back and you see like, whoa, maybe that part of me wasn't even my fault, or that part of us wasn't even our fault, and it helps you kind of maneuver better in present time, just because anybody can build after empathy. If you can find empathy in someone else and see their story it's easier to build with that person. And I think a lot of people before, we didn't give anybody time.
But you can't keep making excuses for
Very
that too,
true.
Yeah.
because
That's why I'm saying
I've been there.
It's a very
I've been there.
thin line, you know. So how do you? So
I've been there. I've been there where I saw, because I always say there's a root to everything. Like nothing is on the surface. Nothing is on the surface. There's a root to everything. So my last relationship, it was like I saw that you never got that. Your mom died when you was a baby, and then you were raised by your grandmother who had already had 5 kids of her own, and her mom and your mom had 5 kids of her own. So it's like you coming into this house, you know, with your grandmother, and she already got her own kids, and now she got to take care of her daughter's kids too. You never got the love that you needed. You didn't really have a father because your father wasn't there. Your father was somewhere else. So you really didn't get the love that you needed. So you really don't know how to love anybody because you weren't even taught how to love yourself. So it's like, but you take that into your relationship too, and you try to see that and be like, okay, well, this is what it is. This is why they're like that. But you can't keep.
it's still okay to know a reason,
Right.
but you
Right.
can't keep yourself
No.
stagnant or
No.
being hurt
No.
through that
Right.
just because of the reason. But
Exactly.
even though there's a good reason, it still doesn't
It
change
still
what's
doesn't
going
change
on.
what's going on. Not at all. Not one bit.
What you got on your mind, lady?
Oh, was I supposed to laugh? It was so good.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
No, I just, I don't know. I think,
Because honestly, I feel like you all's generation is kind of very much stuck in between in a very weird space. Like, not only is it where you experienced the older generations and how they moved and just how they had a standard of their living, and then you coming into a new age where everybody's having something progressive and trying to do new things, and you guys are just in between to choose and participate in whatever. So it's it's a
well, you had said something earlier in reference to the black community that we do not seek help,
exactly.
Yeah.
you know. So I am
It's hard.
Pride.
Yeah,
Pride.
Yeah.
pride.
We've been taught pride.
and all the time. And I'm just saying, because I'm a true example of what you're saying, past hurts, new hurts. And I'm thinking if my incident didn't happen to me where I sought therapy, I probably would have still been in that same mentality, thinking I'm a strong black woman and I'd endure anything in that.
And I'll be all right.
Yeah, and so even if I'm getting hurt along the way,
Because too many people think it's okay if they just cry alone.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
nobody's there,
Yeah.
if nobody's there to see it, it's
That goes back to
okay.
slavery.
You know?
and that's what I'm saying. Those general curses are passed on and on and on. And I feel better that I sat in front of someone and talked the things that I needed out. So it was another perspective, because we're so critical about ourselves,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh.
And sometimes when you tell a story,
Crabs
they
in
can
the
break it
barrel.
down and make you realize
Let you know you're not crazy.
that you're not crazy.
But I also want you to kind of let people know that even in your search for a therapist, though, that wasn't simple.
Oh, definitely.
It
You've
wasn't-
got to find someone who, I realized that, because the growth will not be the same. Because the original therapist I had was a checklist therapist. How do you feel? Boom. Okay, good. This is
That's
the next
not what
day.
you need.
Da da da. But you need someone to reach the core of time and effect.
And some kind of there's got to be a trust level. Like
It has to be a trust level.
You're gonna understand me.
Yeah.
You can comprehend what I'm saying,
You're not gonna
and
judge
you're not
me.
gonna judge me.
Yeah.
Right.
And two, it has to do with that you can be honest. You know, just like what you said, without judging.
Without
But I
judgment.
mean that removal of all fear. Because I think the greatest things that we do to ourselves is we don't speak up. We don't say, I failed, or we don't say, this affected me this way.
I'm
And I
getting
think that was
teary-eyed on that one.
that was my biggest thing for me, is that I always said this did not affect me. And I think my whole relationship with my mother, I kept saying it didn't affect me because I was so strong that I just let it bounce off me and I got all of things under control. But when I really sat down, it affected every core of what I did.
It's all just a mask. Like,
Yeah,
you
you know,
try to
That's
push,
exactly
you try to
what
push,
it
You
is.
try to
You
just
know.
Yes.
push through the avalanche, not
Yep.
realizing it's piling up on you.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I just kept looking
Yep.
at it because I've been so strong that that I made decisions that wouldn't affect my kids, or I made decisions that did this. You know, I try to 2 + 2 is 4, keep everything in a special order, but keeping it in order, I lost sight of me.
You
It
masked
goes
it.
back to what you said about growing up and you are who you are by the age of 5. If your parent didn't instill how much they love and adore how beautiful you are, then by the time you're however old, you're like, I don't feel like I got that.
Yeah.
Also,
I feel incomplete.
That's something that I
yeah.
did with Cheyenne from the very beginning. She started school because she had her own personal, issues of herself, and kids would pick on her. She'll tell you today, like kids would pick on her about certain little things about her, all of that, and immediately I jumped in. I was like, no,
Yeah.
this is what you're not going to do.
Yeah.
I even had to cuss teachers out, all of that behind that. Like, listen, I'm not about to have her at home and I'm trying to teach her how to not be, insecure, and then she
Yeah.
got to come to school and deal with your ass
Be
too.
broken.
Right,
Yeah.
you crazy, excuse my language, you crazy as fuck. No. And so I instilled that in her, like I pounded it in her. And I was even that parent, like, hey, what they look like.
Yeah.
They want to
I
talk
think-
about you, what they look like.
I want to bring Keaton into it because I want to ask you, just even if it's not prevalent in yourself and your own experience, what do you feel like maybe people among your age or generation may lack, or maybe in search for, and why stuff is done how it's done?
I think they just we lack time. We lack actually liking a person, getting to know a
You
person.
guys feel like everything is gonna happen.
Everything.
But that's
we
why I
go
just
get
said
it.
that this
She said
generation's
that,
on a
yeah,
fast track.
everything
Yeah.
has got to
You
move
know?
We
fast.
gotta get rich quick.
Yeah.
We gotta fall in love quick, have babies quick, get a house quick, and then it's hard because it's on a platform where it's hard for you not to compare yourself to somebody when you
Everything.
following rappers or you following
was just
somebody,
getting ready to say
you following
that.
somebody your
Yeah.
age, and you see what they doing. Like back in the day, you didn't see what. What's his name? Like all them stars was doing behind scenes. What
Nobody
they
know
had,
what
what,
Billionaires
yeah,
House
what,
was.
yeah, what Eddie
DMC,
Murphy
none
looked
of
like,
them,
what he was
right.
wearing that night. If it didn't come out 3 days later or something, like we seeing what people doing now, what they doing on trips. So it's just like time where we comparing to everybody and like you can't keep
Comparing
anything
yourself to
hidden.
Also, I want to
Yeah.
ask you, do you even feel like you can articulate and explain what all goes around with your age and generation to people that are in the older generation? Do you think it's possible to understand?
Maybe a little bit, but it's hard when you're not like in the same sense because it really don't make sense in the same way. But it's where I could explain it to them, but they wouldn't understand if they weren't my age because it's just super different in a way. How so many things is like getting DMs or people commenting is like
I get DMs.
but it's just different.
What you talking about?
It's just different though. 'Cause it's
Like,
like
yeah, how is the fact that has always been prevalent in your life? Like, not saying like even if he wasn't using social media, it was still existed. So the people around him are still influenced.
Yeah, like-
so have you noticed that people has been affected just having that there all the time? Because I do notice we were talking about it earlier. Like people, it's difficult for people to talk or articulate or talk in person.
Because
or
like-
you know.
Cause you gotta make sure like your profile look good, like where you look like an approachable person. You gotta everything is off what you look like, basically.
I was
So you
just
gotta
gonna
have
say,
image. Some people could be the
hiding behind social media.
some people could be the coolest people, but they don't got no Instagram followers or they pictures not blowing up or whatever. Like you don't even get female phone numbers no more. You get they social medias, and that's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that's not even really getting to know a person. Like when you gave somebody your number back in the day, you like, okay, we gonna kick it. This is I'm good. You can get somebody social media, never see them again ever on your timeline, or not even knowing what they is, or battling against.
But they're just a number.
yeah,
They're just a number added to your
yeah,
friends.
that's all it is.
That's
It-
what I'm saying. Well, you
new
got away
follower.
from chivalry, really not. And even though you're doing the interview, but you kind of lived that both transition where you had a part of your life with no technology. I mean, you got your first
technology, yeah.
phone when you were 13 because they were just, coming. So you've gone from the generation with no, but then now you're still a part of now the technology.
See, I also, I still feel like I'm on the outside looking in because also we've been together for so long. I don't feel like I've been in that mix to
Yeah.
even know.
You didn't have to go
Like
through that
the
dating
bubble.
circle. Yeah.
We were even living in our own little
Be
bubble.
glad.
So it's funny now when I look at how Keaton is and or just how they relate and how just dating or even with how you all are like in dating life is so weird to me now. I really couldn't imagine, you know,
And I think-
because nobody seems honest anymore.
Yeah, and
Everybody
I-
tries
That's
to.
my
Yeah.
thing. I feel like
Everybody's
with
hiding
trust
behind
issues as
social
Black
media.
people,
Yeah.
I look at the world and I'm like, I don't trust you guys. So when it comes to dating, it's like you have to find someone for one that you feel like you have an inkling of trusting, and then being
And
like,
that's
okay,
hard.
let's see how far this goes.
Yeah.
But I
Then
think
not
trust
having
is a
hope that it's
lot.
gonna go
Trust is a
far.
lot more important than love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think-
definitely.
Because it's so hard to just have trust and just say, okay, I trust you to be you and not hurt me.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to keep something like stronger and consistent just because like people, it's so many like opinions or like it's just like say somebody was famous in the neighborhood back in the day for like dancing or they were cute, but nowadays
didn't have
somebody
to hear it.
like
You
it
don't have to
now
hear it.
nowadays
What I
you-
was telling a friend of mine the other day, I was saying we are literally able to see fan mail every day. It's like actors and celebrities, they used to get tons of fan mail. That all we used to see it as was just a big bag of envelopes. But now we actually see the fan mail and we read it and we statisticize on everything they say, and I don't think it's accurate. It doesn't give people accurate
or what's really popping or
of
what's,
what's
going
really
on.
going
Like somebody
on.
could
It's
really
it's just people's words that people just throw out as
yeah,
willingly
like
as
somebody
you can.
saying you ugly. But
Right.
it's like already it's 15 people saying you beautiful or you handsome, and that one person say you ugly could just mess up your whole thing. 'Cause
That's
it's
the
like
one thing you
what
don't know.
what
And
made
that's what you have to
like
find
what
self-worth.
made you
Yeah.
what
You have
made
to
you
be-
say? I think nowadays it's harder to find self-worth between men or women. It's hard to know people. I feel nowadays we don't even know ourselves because
Well-
we so ready to see what everybody else
And
thinks
also
of us.
society expects everyone to feel the same way and
Yes.
answer the same answers the same way everyone else does. If we all like the color blue, everybody should like the color blue. And if you don't, it's a way to separate
Like
people.
what?
No, and that's why
You
you
don't
have to
like
find your
blue?
individuality in anything you do, and even through everything that we're saying, you two are really living proof of everything that we talked about, because neither one of you guys grew up with an example of what love looks like. You know, neither one of you
Cheyenne
grew up
neither.
with that perfect mom, dad, family in the home, da 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 da. But you still found a way, you know, and that's what we have to look at, is that no matter the circumstances,
You gave them that.
I feel like this too.
You gave them that.
At the beginning of our relationship, when my mom died, we went to therapy.
oh, I know you
And the
did.
thing is that my therapist was a Black woman that was like, hey, I want to make sure that you guys are okay, because as a team, you guys are still going through depression as a unit. Not just me. He has to deal with my depression and how that might affect his energy and his, you know, like outlook on stuff. So I feel like therapy throughout courting, therapy throughout dating, before marriage is so needed.
That's important.
because-
That's so
you're
important.
not biased on your opinion. I learned that I'm not always right because I'm a woman. I learned that he's not, you know, what I look at my dad to be as a horrible man and things like that. So it definitely gives you a lot of, you know, a bigger point of view of like, hey, my thoughts and opinions are not always valid. You know?
So I want to ask you guys,
Real quick, to echo what she said, the main reason I was saying is because we're talking about fast track and everything, but you guys had staying power. No matter what you guys did or what you endured, you had staying power. Because we
That's so
can
important.
encounter a whole lot of things, we can go to therapy, but this generation now, we give up so quick because it's a
That's
fast
true.
track.
Very.
And so, yeah, maybe you weren't presented the perfect love story, but you guys stayed long enough to say, this is possible.
Because is it worth it?
Yeah, you know, and
but also the
something that's
staying,
worth it.
it builds that stronger foundation.
yeah,
Like
and-
people mess up nowadays because they expect everyone to be perfect for them. Like the world does not revolve around you to make perfection for you.
Right.
And you have to realize that you can
Man.
grow together and not be exactly everything you expect someone to be. But as long as somebody takes the effort and the time to comprehend you and put effort to try to be better for themselves and you, that's all you can ask for. I
And that's why
I think
even-
especially in his generation,
Yeah.
that you guys really expect people to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's hard to even, the perfection you guys put up is even more perfect than even past generations could, because now you guys are putting your stuff out there for everybody to see all day and every day, and you're fulfilling the gaps of
You gotta have
if it's true or false. Like it can be,
Too much material.
you know, you're
Yeah,
in front of
Constantly.
your neighbor got a Mercedes. Now you got a Mercedes on Instagram because you sitting on the.
You gotta have
And then
a
you're living
perfect-
beyond your means.
Exactly.
Perfect
And then
body,
two-
more.
yeah.
You gotta have more outfits. You can't have the same. Can't wear the same shoes all the time. You know, there's always some you gotta live up to who. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because what the media says or what's trending in, like nobody could really be themselves in a way. You
I feel
know.
like the best thing that does not mentally harm people is when you stay far away from social media and the in crowd. Chris
sometimes
and I
you have to
we
take a-
fuck the in crowd.
But it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. It's hard if that's part of your everyday.
It's
you
part
know,
of his culture.
It's part of
You
his
know, it's a
culture.
part of his brand.
You know? Yeah.
That's why it goes back to your own self-worth. Because if in today's society social media turned off and do you know who you are?
Do
Can
you
exist?
know-
Can
right, can you
know,
still
and those
exist
are the
without
things we
that?
have to look at.
Right.
You know, because things are going to change. Even this whole COVID-19 has allowed people to realize the relationship they're in. You know, do I really like this person?
they really
Who they
are.
really are. You know, there's so many divorces happening because you didn't realize this person and I got to see you every day now. That you know,
Right.
it's coming to realization.
I like you.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to also ask you all, like, how do y'all feel, even just from growing up, how do you feel, like, even on your side of your part or even your relationship, how do you feel communication was? Was communication difficult in the past more than it is now? Or is communication different? Or, you know, were things not even understandable to communicate in certain times, you know?
I think for me, my communication is within the barriers I put my communication in. As a mother, I try to communicate with my kids. These are the choices that I made. And whether I communicated outside the world that I lived in, I made sure the communication was a part of who I was. I can look at my generation. My father's not a communicator. My mother's a communicator, but only in her own ears. So you have to consciously make a decision of what you want and choose in your life. You know, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to transition what you want? So it could change back and forth with communication, but it's up to you, even at any age, will you speak up and be accountable for yourself? You know, and that's even in his generation. If the internet or whatever it is that you guys call it is not suitable to you, are you going to stand up and make a difference?
Right.
You know, I believe that no one in life should be a follower. We should all be leaders. We should all
I never
be,
taught Cheyenne.
you know,
Cheyenne's always been taught to be a leader.
yeah, because that
Never
makes
a follower.
because your uniqueness makes you, as I always say, extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
And that all comes back from the beginning. What I said is self-worth. Because when you love yourself, you know you can accomplish anything, you can do anything, and that is communication to the key of talking to yourself and moving forward. So communication could go in a whole lot of ways.
It can.
You know, but it's up to you to determine. I didn't have anybody in my life that was a communicator, but I chose to be a communicator because I didn't know. No one gave me a manual of how to be a mother.
You're a great communicator.
You know, I just wanted my children to know that they were loved. I didn't know of raising them, how they were going to turn out, but I wanted them to be. Are you guys laughing at me?
No.
Cause you just going on, not for real.
I got on that road, I didn't let go.
I think
I can
like,
speak
what
on
we
that
have
one,
as a
too.
Family is like, you know, we do a great job at telling each other we love each other.
Yeah.
You know, making sure our village is strong because when we
Never
have
go to
kids,
bed angry.
Exactly.
Never.
And when we
There's
have
no
kids,
point.
we need
No.
our village to be
Never go
strong.
to bed.
And that's what I was
angry.
saying is that we can go to the past and we can recap, but sometimes you just can't change the past. You can only
Yeah.
develop. And my important thing right now, and we're all on one accord, is that right now this party of four is our family and how we build it from. We are going to build the family that we didn't have. That we're going to have those generations and great grandkids and move on and on. And then that's when you encumber good friends and things like that enrich your life.
Yeah.
These are conscious choices because I refuse to live in a generational curse. I
Yes.
don't.
Right.
Because I can't.
That's why I talk to Cheyenne so much because I will never say that my mother was a bad mother because she was not a bad mother. But there were some things that she could have taught me and she did not because it was one of those things. You just don't talk about everything. And a lot of things that I have learned today, even today at 49 years old, I taught myself. I taught myself. My
that's
dad, you could forget it.
Yeah.
Only thing my dad ever told me is like, anytime you in the company of a man, a woman should never go in her pocketbook for nothing. That's all he ever taught me.
But also, even
But-
just on that note, I think also that kind of that narrative was kind of pushed a little bit too hard on black female children. That this princess mentality thing, because more valid in his generation now, a lot of women feel like they're deserving of things they can't even give themselves.
I never taught Cheyenne
Yeah.
that. You
Like,
can always
it's
have
it's like a save a whole generation. Like everybody's expecting to be saved.
Now
Buy a Birkin.
what my mom
exactly,
what my
there's a whole
mom did
Birkin
tell
thing going on.
Buy
right
the
now.
Dior, buy
what my
all
mom
that.
did
I
say
ain't
was
got
like
that.
never
Okay.
put all your cookies in
Well,
one jar.
couldn't be
Always
rapping.
make sure you have your own, because tomorrow that man could wake up and be like,
Right.
Exactly.
that's what my mother.
exactly.
That's what
And
my
that's
mother
just
did. teach
in
me.
general
Yeah.
for men
And that's
or
the same
women.
thing.
But
that
I
teach
think,
my
but I
daughter.
think because of all the pains and things, and also with fathers not knowing even how to be fathers, especially to women, I think it was just easier to be like, you are the world, and I give you everything, and you don't need to do nothing. If somebody doesn't do that for you, then they're not good enough for you. That doesn't teach a woman to grow with a man.
But
That
that's
doesn't-
what they're teaching them now. That's what that's what the generation past us, under us,
Exactly,
is
what-
teaching them now.
Yeah, and which is
Because
there.
we weren't taught that. We were taught, well, I know for me, I can't speak for everybody, but like I said, I was taught like, hey, don't never put all your cookies in one jar. Because one day that man could possibly wake up and be like this. So be able to take care of yourself. If he do decide to walk away, be able to take care of yourself. That's what I was taught from my mother.
I was taught to princess.
Be prima donna.
They looking for that
mentality.
bag.
Well, yeah.
But I opted out. I opted out of that mentality when I fell in love with your father, because he really stepped up, and he was what I thought at that moment a man taking. He saved me from that princess mentality by making me be whole with him as friendship and a different thing that we could work things out together, because that's what Helen, I thought I could have everything, do everything. I was very spoiled, and I was very abreast to not listening to everyone, because if you can do it, I got it, da 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 da. But being in a relationship, it taught me a rude reality is that you got to trust first yourself.
It's just being on the outside and looking at the dynamic between you, your mom, and Uncle Daryl. I kind of see why you are the way you are. With everything going on with Uncle Daryl and his situation, you kind of had to get attention. You had to say like, "Hello, I'm here."
Yeah,
So I don't know, because like we laugh and joke. I say like you're dramatic and stuff like that, but I see the reasons why, because in your household, there was something probably always going afoot or going crazy around you. You probably never got you felt good for your own accolades, or anything like that. So I noticed even just in your case, like how just not damaged, but how a little thing in your environment can change how, like you said, how people who are who they are by the time they're 5, just in that same
And
thing.
then two, to echo into that, is that's the whole thing about learning people. And like Malika said, therapy does take a long time, because people react to you, like they get angry or emotional. It all goes back to when you were little, why you react this way. And if we took time to understand people more and to
Right,
find the depth,
empathize.
you're my son, and you've analyzed me and you see my journey, but it helps you love me differently,
Exactly.
because you're like, well, I know why mom reacts this way,
Exactly.
or I know why this is going on.
Exactly.
Because it was a running joke in my family with my brother. I was called little big sister because I took care of everybody. I'm his little sister, but Daryl will tell you I was his big sister because I did everything. And so in your example, when I was young, everything was surrounded by him because he was always in trouble. So I did seek the background. So when things came up, I seeked attention, and when I didn't get it, then those things went awry. So that was my self-worth. And then 2, we're saving him, but then I became the punt from both of them. It's like, oh, let's tease Darla today because da 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 da.
Because he's also too vulnerable to tease.
Yeah, so
like he's already too messed up to even.
and then he's
know
also
that.
seeking
So
mom's
Darla's the only
approval.
one that- yeah.
So, you know, those two together would gang up on me just to tease me, because then that put them at one accord. You
So-
know?
So to move on, I kind of
Got off
and
track.
No, that was right on track. But I just want to talk about this, and then we can end up wrapping things up. But I just want to say, when I say the word anger, what feelings come up? What situations? what things?
Y'all better spread it out.
What things?
He's got a lot of that right
Like,
now.
what things to us cause anger, and what things deserve anger? Because also one of my theories.
That's what we're working on, what deserves anger. Sorry.
Like one of my theories is a lot of black people, we're not really able to recognize other senses, other emotions. We take a lot of emotions and they all turn into anger. Like we can be insecure and it turns into anger. We can be afraid and it turns into anger. We can be
depressed.
and it turns into anger, and that really cripples our society, because a lot of times we just can't have simple conversation just because everything turns into anger. If you
anger.
feel ashamed, it's anger.
It's
If
anger.
And
somebody
it's only
tells
because
you
people
anything-
haven't dealt with it.
Exactly.
And
So I
it
want
goes
to-
all the way back to, we as black people need to sit down and have therapy, because we need to.
That all starts from the beginning of time. We
Yeah.
are so angry, and we've been angry as slaves. We've been angry as the people in the help in the house. Like, we've been angry from our husbands being taken from us. We've been angry from behind our kids being taken from us. We've been angry behind.
We've been angry since the first day they put us on that goddamn boat.
That's what I'm saying. We've been angry from the beginning of time.
There's something to say,
and
I'm
it
sorry.
just keeps getting passed
Yeah.
down because nobody ever deals with it.
Don't be
It's
sorry.
always
I know.
swept up under the rug. You don't talk about that. No. Don't do that.
'Cause
We got to keep that inside the
that's something
house. We have to keep that within the family.
I especially noticed in a single mother household. That's one of the things that cause the most chaos, because the pain that a mother goes through, and then the anger that she puts out and not even knows. Because that's you. When people are hurt, they hurt. You
Hurt
know,
people,
it's-
hurt people.
But I think, and a lot of people don't know it. Janelle knows it. But as a single mother, and it's not about
Janelle.
angry. It's not about anger. It's that we do so many things
So
in the
many
background.
things,
Like
yeah.
we sew from Peter to pay Paul. If you needed a whole football uniform and we had $10 and it was $200, we made it work to figure out how
to
it was
figure
to
out how
do.
to get
But,
And then
but that's what we know is true. But on the child's end, you're not
You-
aware.
you're not aware. That's what I'm saying.
You're just aware. I just didn't wash the dishes.
yeah,
That's it. That's all.
because
That
all
was.
we're thinking
Nah,
of
beat your
is
ass.
that
Right.
yeah,
It turns into
yeah, it
the-
turns into anger only because this
Yep.
child doesn't know I just
Wow.
robbed from Peter,
Peter to
Paul,
pay. Right.
and the light bill ain't gonna be paid because this boy got a uniform and he went what, and then for you to say no,
It
I
just
can't wash
builds
the
up.
dishes,
It
it's like
builds up.
Right.
nigga, we gonna have no lights next week.
I know,
You
but
know,
I
And all
mean,
I
I
ask you to
think
do
that-
is wash the damn
Yeah.
dishes.
And I think that also builds tension in
It
a
does.
parent-child
It does.
dynamic.
Yeah,
Just
because we
it's-
have made so many
and I think
sacrifices.
especially in single mother homes.
Yeah.
Because,
I have
because
to
young
admit
males
that.
aren't taught how to talk to a woman. Young males aren't taught how to refuse situations or how to do anything. And also, it's not in that young boy's place. You know, who says he'll even has the place to do things like that? So,
I had to sit down with Cheyenne one day and talk to her and apologize to her because, and it was not recently, it was like maybe a few years ago, like, cause I did recognize like
Yeah.
my frustration and my anger, whatever. And
but that's a big thing just
Yeah.
at you. Because one time I believe
I had to
I
tell you,
posted
not you.
I put a post up one time and I asked like, if you did something wrong to your child, do you apologize?
Oh
to
yes,
them?
definitely.
And I got a
Definitely.
lot of reception, especially from
Definitely.
people that are older. Like why do I have to explain anything?
No.
Like do you apologize and explain? And my opinion is even if
I
let's
did
say
both.
you're still subscribing to whooping children, I think there should be an explanation at the end of the whooping
Every
of
time
why
I
whatever
beat your
happened.
ass, I
what
told
happened?
you why I beat
Yeah.
your
What's
ass.
going on? You know?
Just a quick question, and it could go to you or Keenan, but being raised by a single mother, where do you feel right now at the stages you guys are? What did you lack?
Only thing that I believe that a black man or we could lack because when you're a black man in a very strong female household, you can dim yourself a lot because you don't want to cause friction in the household. And when you're a young man, you're not even aware of all the physics and the chemistry that go into being a woman. That might just be emotional imbalances and things like that. So a lot of times young black men are either in the household on tippy toes or they're acting out to get attention. It's either or. So you're either just sitting there and you're trying not to let things get out of hand.
Walking around on eggshells.
And I think that kind of, when you grow up, you have to grow out of that because you're too busy walking around everyone else's,
Yeah.
you know.
Because you
Walking
didn't
on
act out.
eggshells.
You didn't act out, so you were on tippy toes.
Exactly.
Christian
And
was a
you?
good kid.
What that mean on tippy toes?
Kiki was walking on eggshells.
Just not saying yours could be different because
mine-
you really had a different mother than he did.
I think
Yeah.
mine
But
was-
I think your anger with him isn't the same as.
That's what I'm
our
saying.
anger.
I
It's
know.
like I think our dynamic was a lot more different because it was just us.
Yeah.
Like I was the only one there listening to you on your side of things. And you have me. You have different stuff.
And
You
then
don't have
too,
to
I
put
was
your
younger, and a lot of things triggered me more than they trigger me now.
Exactly.
You know?
So I don't think Keaton
That's
doesn't
what I
have.
was thinking
And then
in my
two-
head, like, 'cause
Yeah, and then
Kiki came
two-
along a lot
Keaton
I was
doesn't
in
have
a-
to be.
later.
Keaton
Yeah.
doesn't have to tiptoe. You can take jokes
Yeah.
now. You can do a lot of things. But
By the
before,
time he was born,
Yeah, 'cause I
before
was
you're
just very
teaching yourself
anal.
how to be a mother, and you're like, I don't know what I'm not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
allow, what it is, or what's that. And then as a young boy, you don't know
Like
what.
my mom crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and then I think I tried so hard with Christian because it was such a generational thing for black women. I mean, it was known that black women could not raise young black boys
young
because
black
they're going to be
boys,
bad, they're going to be disrespectful. Because there were so many boys that at our age that boys were just running around calling their mama names and da da
Names, all
da.
of
So I
that.
was really into
Disrespectful.
I can't let him do this. So Christian probably got the blunt of it because I never let him do anything. It was all about being polite, doing this, doing that, and it was a reaction to an action.
That's
Like,
why
just-
he used to
like
sit
even-
at the table and counsel us.
And that, and
Because
two,
even now-
but
even
two,
now I'm very
I
young.
never let him out of my sight. So I
Right,
never
no.
really let him,
Not at
you
all.
know, at all, because I was just
all.
like, no.
Like even now, I'm a person who I'm only gonna speak if I know what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna calculate what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna figure out the best way to relate to you to understand what's going
You've
on.
always been like that.
You know, so
You've
it's
always
Because when
been
you
like
see him
that.
talking, you look at that
Right?
little boy
Like,
at the
I'm just
table.
looking at him
Yeah.
like that's Christian.
That's the same thing you used to
same
do.
Christian. You the same.
So how do
the
you
same.
feel being raised by a
I mean,
single
yeah,
mother?
what do you feel like? What sometimes is something you can't articulate between the gap of her understanding and your existence?
And you can be honest.
Yes, be honest.
You don't
not
have to
gonna-
give him permission to be honest.
I'll hold her back.
I think mine would be just toughness and like figuring out how to deal with stuff so much, or like actually just becoming not like becoming a man, but like dealing with things, having that like that grit, or you know that man like I'm
See, I
gonna
think
go
you
get
had
it.
the opposite. I think,
Yeah,
I think
ain't-
you were more coddled in a sense where you didn't have to. do
Yeah,
much.
I don't. That's why like it's always like a
He
like
was.
a little
Kiki
little
was for
boy
real
like
coddled.
yeah like
Yes.
a little boy
That's not my-
thing with me type
Well,
where
yeah, 'cause
I
you
couldn't
did
figure nothing
that
out.
too.
Like I couldn't figure nothing out on myself, or like when stuff do go wrong, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to think. Like just asking for help. But I mean it ain't bad now because I figured out. But yeah, just having that like. What I'm gonna do if I am by myself? Like I don't really. It was always somebody there. Either it was him or you.
I was getting ready to say
so it's
that.
just like I didn't really have
And
no
in my
choice.
position, I felt like I had to figure it out, so you didn't.
Yeah, so I
you
didn't
had
have.
to
So I
learn.
never really had no like grit or grind. Like if I didn't have nothing to eat, somebody's gonna make it. If I couldn't do this, somebody's gonna do it. Like it was never no like it's do or die if I don't do this. So like I didn't have to grow up too fast in no way. I almost grew up like slower because I didn't have to do
Because
anything.
you had an
And
awesome big
for-
brother. too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
You
then
had
for
an awesome
Christian,
big brother.
because we kind of grew up together, he took upon himself to be responsible for me. You know,
Yep.
Keaton was just like, Christian would be like, Mom, I did this. This is, you had a checklist like, I got this, Mom, at a young age. You know, I made us breakfast. I did this. You know, this 4-year-old is pouring milk and, you know, doing everything. And so I think he had an ownership in his mind that I'm not letting anything happen to my mom. And that was a big burden to carry. I look back and he was very responsible. Even for him to stay home by himself at a certain age. Can't put it on tape, they might take him back to,
right.
yeah. But,
Right.
and he was very independent. He stayed home, he opened the door, hey, mom's home, I did this, I did that. I mean, he was a little kid who knew how to sort laundry, and, I mean, he was just,
And see, on my end, it felt like because I had showed that, a lot of people didn't feel like they had to show me how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like my dad never felt like he had to.
because
teach me anything.
your mama did everything.
Right, and then when I, like, it was weird because I felt like he always thought you were doing everything for me, but on my end, it wasn't like you were doing everything for me. I was just, we was figuring it out. Like,
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also it felt like even on your end, it felt like you didn't even have to figure certain stuff out no more because it was like I could figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was very independent.
Yes, he was. Very much so.
So even maybe in that token, maybe that's why he made it easier on his brother.
Exactly.
Because
yes.
he, I mean, literally, Christian came in and just
Yes,
took ownership.
took over.
You know,
He did.
yeah. So maybe the way you turned out
That's
is
your
not all
firstborn.
really me.
Right.
It's not.
maybe
It's
he's
not.
Christian's firstborn.
50-50
You know.
thing.
I definitely know for sure he's gonna be a great parent. 'cause
Oh,
I see
definitely.
how he,
I
like,
told you that the
handles
other
it.
day.
Yeah,
He's gonna be an awesome dad because
for sure.
how he was with, and still is
Even
with
handling
Kiki.
problems today, like not even today, like being around as long as I have and seeing how Chris talks to Keaton about like, you know, daily life or high school or just how to love himself is
And it's even to a point like where my friends will understand why I be with Christian so much, or like when I'm saying I'm going with my brother, or my brother says something, like I take it so, because it's like, who else I'm gonna listen to? Why would I not listen to him?
Right.
Well, I
In a
think
sense.
He
some
ain't gonna
people don't
steer you
realize
wrong.
that.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
it's
maybe
like-
He
they
gonna steer you
do.
wrong.
But Christian loves unconditionally on the surface. You know, I mean, he really loves to the point where he knows that he loves you. So he knows your being. I
I'm
mean,
about to cry.
he does. It's like Christian can. He's in
I don't
tune
like
with the
him all
people that he
grown up
loves.
anymore.
You
I
know,
don't like him
you're
all
in
grown
tune
up.
with the people that you love. You just don't love them. It's like you could tell on Malika's face if there's something wrong. You can tell on my face if there's something wrong. Like you love at a level of visionary that you just don't want to see today. You want to see the love that you have planted blossom into tomorrow. So there's a difference in loving someone just surfacely.
Surfacely, right.
Your love comes,
deep.
you like plant a seed and you don't walk away and come back and see it grow. You nurture it until it grows to the level in which you can say, I can let you go. And you have never let anyone go in your life because you are the caretaker that takes care of everyone. And that's a hard burden to carry, even as me being your mother.
Because it
I
can make
depend a lot
mistakes.
on you.
What'd you say?
You know, I depend a lot on your opinion. I
And
depend.
mistakes could be
But
varied
that's
because
that's
of
what I told Keaton.
He
when
about to
we-
cry. Don't do that.
Yeah, but when we were in New Orleans, I told him like my whole life I felt like I couldn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know.
But you are, I am, you know, we always say Christian is who he is because of his mother. But people don't realize that I am who I am because
my
of
son.
him.
Yeah, I say that.
You know,
about
I'm more caring, I'm more loving. You taught me how to love by saying to me, Mother, this is acceptable. Or just being who you are at that level, because we grew up together.
Yeah, I did.
And you taught me how to love because you never faltered. You know, everything, you were always there. You know, and so when I look back and I'm thinking, who raised who? You know, who raised two? You have taught
Y'all
me how to
raised
love.
each other.
And even in that, you have accomplished things I have not accomplished. I don't know how to love unconditionally somebody else.
Yes, you do. You love me.
I love you, but I didn't teach him how to love her. You know what I mean?
I get it.
I didn't
I get
teach
it.
them
I get it.
because I have no example to show him. I have no
Right.
relationship.
I
You know,
get
I can say I'm grown and I can handle this and ain't a man gonna tell me nothing. You know, we all got that attitude, but there's different when you're in it
Mm-hmm.
and you love, because pillow talk is the greatest thing that gets you from one stage to the other. And for him to take whatever seeds I planted and grow a bush that I didn't give him the seeds for, that's extraordinary.
Yes.
You know, you grew something that I didn't prepare you to grow. And so that's why Keaton and I, even though we look to you not only for advice, but we look to you as wisdom, because you are the tree and we are the branches. And so when we look at that, even in the position,
but you put that love in him though, so that's why he knows how to love.
but he blossomed that love to a different level.
He blossomed it,
You
but
know.
you still put it in him
Yeah,
to do it.
but
Because
I
if
really
you
wanna
didn't
give
put it in
him-
him, he wouldn't know how to do it at all.
Yeah, but I really want to give him ownership as a young kid to have done the things
Oh,
that
definitely,
he did. Because
definitely.
at 4 years old, that little boy could do extraordinary things, you know. And I mean, to the day, people don't know, he balanced my checkbook. You know, he would sit there and we'd have our little bills, and he balanced a little checkbook, and he would get everything sit away. You know, so you look at, I gave birth to this little man, but his love, and that's why he loves so deep. And like I said, he's a visionary lover, that he plants a seed and he wants to see it grow. So that's not only going to make you a great father, it makes you a great human being, because you don't see anything but goodness in people. Don't see anything but goodness in people. Because you're probably the only one, he's more of a surface and a giggler, that sees the goodness in my mother.
Man.
You know, you see the goodness in her, and you try so hard to make it blossom out. But, you know, I've always said since a little kid, you are extraordinary. But you hold the title to that word, because I don't know how you do the things you do and love people the way that you do. And whether I taught you or I didn't teach you, you now have made that your own.
That's something I used
You
to
know,
say
just
too.
like when Mother said, she was on the phone and she says, oh, he's become da 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 da. And I said, the things that he has become, that's on him. I can take glory for the child that I raised, but the
Right.
man that stands before you, that's you.
him.
You know, it's really you. And I love you.
I've said that too ever since she was a little kid. He's so loving. The first time I met her, I was like, he's such a loving little
He's
boy.
definitely the most kind.
And I'm like, he's always
smiling.
smiling and he's just so loving. Oh my gosh. And he's still that same person
Yeah.
to this day. Oh, my Christian all grown up.
It's funny because my family's always like, everybody can't find a Christian.
Hell
I'm
no.
like, y'all
Hell
right.
no.
And he was uniquely planted. I'm telling you, I'm going to find that book. It's down in that thing with everything else I say I'm going to find.
Oh,
but
Lord.
Where I wrote to him every day I was pregnant. And
Oh,
every
you
day
gotta
of what
find
I
that.
did and what I wanted him to
Oh, you
be.
really
And,
probably
you know,
gonna be crying.
or I'm like, oh, today's a hard day. You have kicked me and da 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 da. So I talked to him the whole way. So I already knew what I wanted him to be. And I wanted him to have a gentle spirit only because my life was such in turmoil.
Right.
You know, at a certain point, I found like the baby I'm having is by a married man. I'm struggling this, I'm struggling that. And I cried all the time, and I didn't want that to transfer to him. So I tried so hard to move out of that. That when I was in I would pray on him and I would do things. So all these seeds that came out were just, I wanted him to be of peace. And he went beyond what I prayed for. Because this man has patience of,
Right.
I said it the other day. I said, that boy got the patience of Job, boy.
I mean,
No, honestly, I
just
say
said
all the
it.
time, he got me through my darkest days. So
you know.
he's definitely God sent with patience for sure. For sure.
Oh, boy.
And you know
This
what?
was
God is
good.
going to grant you with a child that's going to let all of that go. All of that responsibility that you carried, that child's going to take that responsibility and make it their own the same way you did for me. Because I was always responsible for my mother and brother. You know, for their outcome, for whatever they did. I was always responsible for them. So you took that from me because you became responsible for me. When you have a child, that is going to transfer, and that the guilt that you feel or the animosity that you feel sometimes that you had to carry everyone, that baby is going to give you so much joy that they're going to carry you as big as you are. The wisdom that they're going to give you is going to make you smile.
All right, y'all about to make my eyelashes fall off.
Oh shoot, not the eyelashes. You know, but God does a circle of life. You know,
Definitely.
His gentle spirit is the gift to his child.
Yep,
You know, and
definitely.
it's almost in that movie where the grandmother said, "Your child is going to be my faith." You know, that journey out.
That today.
He
Yeah.
told me that today.
Because
He told me that today.
they do.
That's wild.
You know, when you look at everything you've given my life, everything you've enriched my life, even raising him, you tackled it with
'Cause that wasn't his job. at
no,
all.
and it wasn't like I made it his job, but
With no
he took
frustration,
ownership.
no
He
nothing,
took
just
ownership
did
to
it.
mold you, and there's a difference. It wasn't like I said, you know, you got to take care of him. You know, I was there.
No, he like literally
but he
just stepped
took
in.
because it's just, you know, just even taking care of you. You know, that Christian loves some people. He loves people, and he wants to see them grow. He wants the best to come out of them. You know.
Very true.
You know, when he's teaching his brother, he's not teaching him because, he wants to see the best come out of him. So when he looks at the reward of whatever we become, he wants the best. He wants to see that come. When he sees you have a great day and you're catering and everything looks beautiful, he looks at that because he supported you along the way. You know, that's why he pushes me so hard. Mom, I need you to find your, you know, write your book, do this, do that, because he still knows my mother's lost. My mother has given up so much. And he still wants me to find that, everything that I was before I gave it into somebody else. You know, that, you know, I want to write my book. I was disenchanted because my mother didn't believe in me. I love being an actress, but I couldn't do that because that was taken from me. So Christian still is that obligation that my mother has not grown yet. But he doesn't realize my growth is you guys. Whether I write a book or I become an actress again or I do anything, there is no greater joy than seeing the happiness on you guys' face. That is my blessing. That is who I find myself in. You know?
When me and Keaton was in New Orleans, we was talking and crying just like this. And
That's why I ain't saying that.
He never says nothing.
I already did.
But he had told me, he was like, I never really gave him any like bad days. And that meant a lot.
Did I just tell y'all about the eyelashes?
Right.
Come on now.
But it is.
No, I love it.
I couldn't ask for a bigger. I have the greatest kids.
Yes, you do. I
have
just
the
said that the
greatest
other.
kids.
I just said that the
That's
other
so
day.
factual. That
I
is
just
so
said that the
factual.
other day. I
I've
said
never
you got
had-
some awesome boys.
And I really thought
Awesome
that Keaton was
boys.
going to be like a rotten core. Because they said God doesn't bless you with two beautiful children.
That's bull.
You know,
Who said
you got to
that?
have a bad child, you got to have a good seed,
No.
a bad seed,
Who
and there's
said
just no way.
That's
I
why
never did.
I'm about to be so tough.
And that's why you know what you can't claim what you can't
Man.
claim.
Love you.
Yeah.
Man.
First off, girl.
And that's why you can't claim what society puts on
No,
you.
that's why
you know
I said
what I mean?
who said
But
that.
also society don't know nothing.
No,
Yeah, just like
They
people
know the
say-
worst. They know the
Who
worst.
said
They
that?
always expect the worst of
They do.
everything.
Right, of
Like everyone used to
everything.
say to me, "Stop kissing him. He's going to be this." I kissed him every day.
Every day.
In your life,
But-
tell me not to kiss my child.
But that's what
I'll
sometimes
fight you.
is also just so frustrating. I mean, I think of a
Society.
lot of younger people, because a lot of older generation, it felt like they just gave us so much backwards information.
Yeah.
Where it just felt like, what were we doing at this time? You know, because it's like you could literally remember older men telling you advice like
Heck
it's
yeah.
God's law.
Right.
But it's
Stupid-
the dumbest-
stupid stuff
the
is
dumbest
ever.
thing you've
Right.
ever heard possible. And
Right.
it's like it's you know, and I understand why it is because they're lost, of course, and even a lost man has to feel proud about something, so he's proud
Yep.
about his ignorance.
Proud about his
There you
ignorance.
go.
That was good.
So,
That was good.
but
was
also,
profound.
I think
Yes.
a lot of people my age and even Keaton's age, there's a lot of frustration for their parents and their elders just because it feels like they're finding stuff out for the first time.
Yeah.
My dad is that one.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what age you are. If you open yourself and you're receptive, you're still growing every day. Like I've learned different things about my dad that I didn't know that makes things better. You know, and we just have to keep. I think in everything in my life, everything that I've gone through, I thank God for allowing me to have a voice. You know, even though everything wasn't perfect, but I never sat on the sideline and let things happen to me. I transferred them and I made the difference. You know, I didn't, you know, if someone says you don't raise your son like that, I was still rebellious and say, no, this is what
This
I'm going
is
to
what
do.
I'm
I
gonna
thank
do.
God. I thank him for allowing me to have a voice to stand up
Right.
what I thought. I didn't take everyone's old
Right.
advice
That old
Right.
advice, right.
and
Right.
apply it. I did just the opposite because
Broke
I'm,
that generational
yeah, because I just, you know,
I did the same. I didn't do everything that everybody else said
But it
to
took
do.
it took you all
Yeah.
to do that stuff because
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
so much bad information out there, you know, and we're still suffering from it now. Like,
Yeah.
even
That's
the
not
way,
gonna-
the
that's
way
not
we
gonna
eat,
never
the way
stop.
food, all
Yeah.
our whole stuff is is enrooted in so much bad information, you know.
You know, you could share more things with me.
You said I don't share stuff
You
with
just said it. You said you don't share things with me.
What you
'cause
say?
you know how I'm gonna react.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah.
But also sometimes you're more reaction than actually who you are.
It's not like I don't be-
you'll react in the time and then later come back 4 hours later.
And I don't
you
be
know,
want-
I
yeah.
really wasn't that. I didn't care.
It's not like I don't trust
you
to
know?
tell you anything. It's just I don't be wanting that whoa.
You don't wanna
know,
hear it.
Yeah, because it don't be
You don't
that.
wanna hear
It don't
it.
be that serious at that moment when you think about it. So I don't.
Because it seems like maybe sometimes you just put on that you're supposed to be worried, so you act worried, or you just
I'm
put it out
sincerely
there.
worried.
You know.
And then you be rushing to help, and then sometimes the help don't be always the best help. So I don't even want you to be thinking about this stuff.
My help
Like,
ain't the
just
best help.
forget it.
Yeah.
Don't
Your
just
help ain't
forget
even
it.
the best help.
Just forget it.
But that's cool.
Yeah, I'm on my mama though.
But we're coming up on an hour and 30 minutes.
Whoa, really? 90 minutes?
I
This is a
definitely-
90-minute
was
show?
good,
I
Christian.
appreciate y'all, and
What's good?
love y'all.
money,
We need to make this go live, as long as my hair look good.
All right, until next time.
Get money.
Peace.